Welcome to the Got Invention Show. I'm your host, Brian Freed, and we always have interesting guests. We have some innovations that start off with just an idea in their head to building these amazing brands. And today we have Al Qaqish. He is from KATO Fastening Systems in Virginia. Welcome to the Got Invention Show.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here.
So, Al, interesting story from you and the company. Maybe you can start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and where you're from.
Thanks. My name is Al Qaqish. Originally from New Jersey. Went to Rutgers University in New Jersey. Got an engineering degree in mechanical engineering with a certificate in aerospace, and worked actually for a company in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, for about a year before I moved on to KATO Fastening Systems, and I've been with KATO for nearly 30 plus years now.
Wow. You can really appreciate all the products that you offer from where they came from, and just watching the evolution of just building the brand and now being a part of just kind of running the company is something that probably you see in a different perspective than somebody just starting out that way.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because, in the beginning, it was just, I was isolated. I was in the engineering department, just focused on design part, working on tools. And then that kind of broadened to application side, where I had to communicate with customers, talk about their applications and provide solutions for their applications, to then troubleshooting customer problems, and then even training, then putting on presentations in front of, like I can recall the first time I was at Lockheed Martin and I had to do a presentation. There's like 30, 40 people, all engineers and manufacturing people, had to go in there and do a presentation on the product. So wow. It was kind of like, yeah, hey, here you go do this. It was thrown into the fire kind of a thing.
Very interesting. So look, we can get a little bit deeper about the innovation, how the company started with just an idea and developed into building this brand. Why don't we start off by just showing a little bit about what KATO is about?
Yeah. So KATO really became known because of a product called coil thread inserts. And I got an image right here of the product. And this product here on the right-hand side, you can see my mouse on, hopefully. And with the metal down the center, that metal piece is called a tang. And that product has been around since the 30s. It's a company called Helicoil that invented that product. It's used in aerospace and defense. A lot of companies or a lot of people know about the product because it later became a thread repair product. But originally it was created for aerospace and defense to provide a stronger thread in lightweight materials like aluminum, for example. And the issue with the tang product is that you have to orient the insert so that the tang is facing down so that the tool can grab it. And then you install it, and you have to go back after you install it and break off the tang. And if it's a blind hole, meaning the hole you can't see through the hole, you have to go back into that hole and fish out that tang. And we're talking about some very small sizes here, thread sizes that are, 0.0086 in diameter. So very small stuff. And so in the mid 80s, late 80s, KATO invented the tangless insert, which is the insert on the left here. And you can see there's no metal tang going down the middle. And so instead of that, there are actually drive notches on both ends of the insert. And that allowed the insert to be bidirectional. And that was one of the benefits. The other benefit is once the insert was installed, you no longer had to go in and break off or retrieve the tang. And that's the product that KATO really became famous for, or popular for, I should say.
Very interesting. So in aerospace and defense, where would this piece be used?
Yeah, so to give you an idea, every Boeing aircraft, for example, probably has 200 plus thousand of these inserts all over the aircraft, from the airframe to any kind of aluminum or magnesium housing or aluminum box that houses electronics, communication systems. Those boxes are mounted or have fastened to something else, and you don't want to damage those boxes, which in some cases could really cost thousands of dollars to machine because you're using a steel bolt in an aluminum part. And so by putting these inserts in to the aluminum or to the magnesium, you create a thread that's actually stronger than the bolt. So that if you were to, let's say, torque down a bolt or really tighten a bolt, over tighten it, you won't damage or strip the threads that are in this really expensive part. You'll just snap the bolt head and then thread it out and replace it. And that's the idea of using these inserts, is to provide a stronger thread than you would have without using them.
For the average personnel, you don't think about these things, but you saying that thousands of these are used and tens of thousands are used on aircraft and other types of aerospace and different types of products and concepts out there. I mean, that's, you don't think about it, but look at how important this invention really turned out to be. And it kind of evolved from the one that had the kind of hook inside to not needing the hook. And so before we kind of get a little bit deeper into the story of this, maybe you could just show us quickly some of the other products that you have that KATO offers.
Sure. Yeah. So as I mentioned, our core product that we're really known for is the Tangless insert. KATO has been making the Tang style insert since the 70s. And it wasn't until like the late 80s, early 90s that we really perfected the Tangless product and really introduced it to the market. Since then, we've come out with a product called Lock One. So this product is really interesting as well. You apply this to the end of any bolt or nut assembly, and it's just a standard nut, and it'll prevent that nut from loosening free under vibration. So you don't, it replaces things like double nuts or cotter pins or safety wire, and it threads on very easily, and you can remove it much easier to work with than cotter pins or safety wire for that matter. So that's another product that we invented and offer. We also have a whole line of tooling to go along with the Tangless product. And we've invented different tools over the years. This one here, although we don't manufacture the electric driver, we partnered with a company that specializes in manufacturing these drivers. However, they were manufactured to our specifications. So we work with them to request certain torque levels, to request certain speed levels, and they worked with us. And this was a project that actually took about 3 years of going back and forth in development to really be able to introduce it. And it's the first of its kind in the market. No one else has. There's cordless drivers out there, of course, but no one else has in our industry has something like this where it has auto reversing features. It works with 2 different styles of installation tools. So that's another one of our products that we do. We have torque arms as well for holding the tools, some manual tools that we offer as well. And then it's the whole system. It's called KATO Fastening Systems because it is a whole system. With the inserts, in order to install an insert, you actually have to drill out a hole, and then you have to tap a hole, but you tap it using these STI threads. So these are special taps that are used to create the thread profile for the inserts to go into. And then, once you do that, then you really need to check the holes. We have these STI gauges, and these are the gauges that actually check the threads before you install the insert to ensure that the threads are correct. And so these are some of the products that we currently offer.
So cool. You don't think about these things. Average consumers out there, this is all B2B, industrial, but it's very well needed. And something simple that makes a big difference in different industries. And it's interesting because you and your company and the original owner had an idea with the coil and then built this brand. So Al, maybe you can kind of rewind back and start off by telling us, we kind of have an idea of how the idea was came about, but what happened when and what was his name? I think.
So the KATO is actually very popular Japanese name. It's common to like Smith in the U.S. You know, so KATO is a very popular name, and so the original founder of KATO, it was KATO Spring Works Limited in Japan. It was a spring company, and fast forwarding, and that was back in the 1930s. It was established, and you fast forward to the 70s. Now his grandson is in the business. His son was in the business, and his grandson, Paul KATO, was in the business. And he was young. He lived in California for several years. And he was approached by a company in California at the time to make these inserts, to make these wire inserts. And at the time, it was the tanged one. And so he went back to Japan and went to the factories and said, hey, I have a customer that wants us to make these inserts. And then you look at them, and they do look like a spring. So, you know, why not a spring company making these inserts? The wire cross-section is different. It's not round like a spring. It's kind of a diamond shape, which is like a thread. When you look at a thread, that's what it looks like. And so they went back and they developed the technology, the equipment to be able to produce a tanged insert. And then it wasn't until the mid 80s that two engineers from the company in California, Frank Cosenza and Al Yamamoto. Frank had the idea to do this tangless insert and to eliminate, you know, what was seen as the issues or the problems with using a tanged product. How do we, and you know, if you think about inventions, most inventions are, you know, to resolve a problem or to, you know, come up with a solution to something that's difficult, right? Someone tries to come up with an idea, and that's how an invention comes up. And this is no different. You know, there are the tang as well as the tanged inserts are, they have their flaws, and they're difficult in certain applications to use. So they came up with the tangless idea, but they didn't know how to make it. So they went back to KATO and they said, look, we have this idea. We need your expertise in manufacturing to be able to produce this tangless product. And so on a handshake, believe it or not, on a handshake, KATO in Japan invested almost $1 million. Now think about this. This is back in 1980s money, $1 million to develop equipment. And it had to be built from the ground up because there was nothing available. And so they had to design it and build it to be able to produce a tangless insert. And although you look at the inserts and you say, okay, they're very similar, you know, one has a tang, one does not. The manufacturing of the product is so different. The only thing they have in common is at some point during the manufacturing, they get coiled like a spring. Beyond that, it's very different manufacturing. But they did. KATO invented the equipment to do it. And the company in California began selling tangless inserts in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, so once they had the idea, they wanted to get some sort of intellectual property, some patent possibly on it, right? So
correct.
Tell us what they did. They had the idea, they built it out, they had the handshake, and now before they bring it to market, is that when they decided to file for a patent?
No, actually, that's an excellent question. The patents actually were applied for even before the parts were manufactured by KATO. I think the patents they may have already been approved by the time they approached KATO, or they were in the process. So they've already applied for the patents when they approached KATO. So they took care of that part of it before they even showed the manufacturing facility what they had in mind. And they ended up getting 13 patents total. Wow. on the product for different aspects of the product, from the chamfer on the end of the insert to the notches, and then the tooling itself, because the tooling was very innovative, very unique to the product. And so they had 13 patents on it and several international patents were applied and received for the Tangless product. And Tangless itself, the name Tangless, is a registered trademark.
I see that. Usually there's a TM, but when you register it and you're selling it in commerce, it turns into that R. So you put that R next to Tangless. So Al, as this product started to sell, you showed us quite a bit of products that kind of evolved from this that are relative to the industry, wanting to build a brand. So tell us about the innovation at KATO. You were kind of on the other side, and you brought yourself up to being a level of running the company as the president. Tell us about the innovative journey of just starting off with that one idea, and now look at what you've built.
Yeah, so when it was first started, really it was more about, okay, we have this product. How do you, when you invest all that money and you have a good idea, that doesn't necessarily mean people are going to buy it, right? It doesn't mean that if the product is going to be successful. It could be a great idea, but if people are not aware of it, or people don't see the value in it, then it's very difficult to get any kind of traction or momentum. So the first thing we had to do was we really had to go to the National Aerospace Standards Committee, the NASC, and apply for a specification, because the product is sold, and as I mentioned earlier, predominantly aerospace and defense. They use parts that have what we call mil spec parts. So they have military specifications. The military is no longer doing specifications. Now they've become aerospace specifications in the form of national aerospace associations. And so the NASC, we approached them with the product, and we actually demonstrated the product to Boeing. And at the time, it was Texas Instruments. Now they're a Raytheon, but it was Texas Instruments. So people will remember Texas Instruments from calculators, right? Back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we approached them. We approached their members on the National Aerospace Standards Committee. And they looked at the idea and they said, hey, this is not a bad idea. But they wanted samples and they wanted to do their own testing. And so we provided them some samples. And initially, we only made 4 sizes. We looked at the market. We said, okay, here's the 4 most popular thread sizes. So these are the sizes that we need to focus on, and let's see if we can build some momentum with those 4 sizes. And they were sizes that actually either one or both of the committee members, Boeing and Texas Instruments, requested. And we provided them with the samples. We sent the product out for independent lab testing to compare the product to the existing standards for the tanged insert, to compare the vibration testing to the tanged inserts. So we had to prove to customers that this product is as good, if not better, than the existing product. And they're not going to take your word for it. So there's a cost involved, right? There's a cost involved with the manufacturing of the product. There's the cost involved with the patents themselves. There's the cost involved with doing independent lab tests, because you send the product out, you tell the lab, this is what I'd like, here's the specification, test these inserts against this specification, and please provide your results. And we had to do all that. But in the, I think it was 1992, the National Aerospace Standards Committee published the specification NAS 1130, which is the standard, the aerospace standard for the unified sizes, like inch sizes of tangless inserts. And
wow.
That's how we started this process moving forward.
And now you have all these other products. So as you were innovating, adding more products to your product line, what kind of process do you have internally as you're coming up with ideas, vetting them, and deciding if they're going to be manufactured and added to your product line?
Yeah, so really the focus, honestly, for the first 20 years, the focus was on how to expand the tangless product line. There's this big market. We're just a small piece of it. And how do we do that? And so it was really about developing more sizes. And although it sounds pretty simple, okay, you just make it larger, the equipment required is different. So you have to develop punch presses that are different, that are heavy duty, for the larger sizes versus the smaller sizes. And so that's really where the innovation is it's really on the manufacturing side, figuring out how do we make the inserts smaller, how do we make them larger, and then making them out of different materials. Because when you try to coil stainless steel versus trying to coil phosphor bronze material, phosphor bronze is much softer than stainless steel, so it behaves differently. That's really been the focus for the first 20 years, is really the innovation side is about manufacturing the product. But once that was done, then we looked at, well, what other tools can we come up with or design for the product? Because initially we had one tool. It was a simple tool. It was patented, but you can use that tool in a handle for manual installation, and then you could take it out of the handle and put it into an electric driver and do it that way. But then we needed to develop better processes and better tools for higher volume customers, and that's what we did. So for 20 years, we've really focused on this product, try to maximize the market for this product. And now Tangless represents more than 65% of all inserts that are shipped in North America. That's US and Canada. So we've gone from 0 to 65%, but it took a long time.
Well, congratulations on your success so far. So tell us where you are right now. You mentioned decent, but you're also expanding into other industries. And how are you getting the word out to continue to build your company?
Yeah, so now that we've really have gotten a large share of the aerospace and defense market, we looked at where else we can grow. And one area we didn't really touch upon was the automotive market, and specifically the automotive aftermarket. And so in 2016, I acquired a division, actually from one of our former distributors of the product. The business was sold, and the division they had for thread repair kits was kind of like lingering on there. And I approached them, and we acquired that division. So we were very familiar with them. They were already familiar with us. So it was very simple to really incorporate them into our business. And so we ended up, having a division called Thread Kits Company, which is now KATO Thread Kits. And they produce stuff like this, where they have a kit and it has a tool, it has a tap that you need, and it has the inserts. So we used that market then to launch the first Tangless Pro Kit. And so this is a thread repair kit, but it's for Tangless. And so this would not even exist if it wasn't for the automotive aftermarket. And to promote the brand, we did a good job over the 20 years promoting it in the aerospace and defense industries, but this is a completely different market. There's no overlap whatsoever with the aerospace guys. And so we started to sponsor professional motorsports teams. And we sponsor, if you look at our homepage, you'll see we have motorcycle teams. This is HSBK Ducati. They're part of the Moto America Superbike Series. And they've been very successful. They utilize our product to repair their motorcycles, threads in their motorcycles. We also sponsor an NHRA team, Justin Ashley Racing. And again, these are two different demographics of motorsports people. You have dragsters and motorcycle people, very different. So that's an area where we try to promote the product and the KATO name by having it on these vehicles that are in professional motorsports. We also do the SEMA show now with our KATO Thread Kits division, and then the PRI show, which is a performance racing show in Indianapolis every year.
That's great. So Al, great story. Brand is definitely booming. It seems like you've overlapped now into the automotive industry. So we will continue to follow and see where the journey of KATO continues. So Al, there are inventors, there are people that are interested in fasteners that are watching and listening to this show. If you can give us some words of wisdom, when we come up with an idea, when we want to be innovative, we want to take an idea and bring it to the next level. Maybe you can just drop us some words of wisdom to keep us inspired and motivated to move forward with our ideas.
I wish I would say it's easy, but it's not. And I can tell you, for most people will tell you, any successful inventor of a product will tell you it's not an easy journey. It will take time, especially if it's something new that you're introducing or you invented. But stick with it. Like I said, it took us 20 years to get to 65% of the market, but we stuck with it. And don't lose focus. There are inventors out there that have all these wonderful ideas in their head, and they come out with these ideas, but they spread themselves too thin. If you have a good idea and you gain traction with that idea, stick with it. Maximize your energy and your efforts on that single idea. Maximize that idea as much as you can before you start looking at other ideas or other inventions. And yeah, I think that's the best advice I can give is it's going to be hard. You're going to have to, really educate people, but that's the thing. Just stick with it.
Look, Al, KATO started from just the idea and shook hands and turned it into a business, expanded the brand, now expanding industries. So it started with an idea. Now, how many customers, if you want to share that, or how much revenue, I don't know if that's public or private, but if you share one of those numbers with us, just to see from the idea to where it is today.
Yeah, we don't share disclosed revenue, but I can tell you that every aerospace and defense contractor and subcontractor utilizes KATO products. So Lockheed Martin and Boeing, the product is actually used on the International Space Station. It's used on the Mars rover. If you go to our website, you'll see there's actually an image of the Perseverance rover, and that actually uses our product in the SuperCam right here, where the camera system is. And if you click on that, you can actually see the actual box. So this is the camera system that's on the Perseverance rover, and you can see here in the corner where they have our inserts and tools, and it went into this box to strengthen these threads. So
amazing.
Yeah, the product is used all over the place.
I would take that image and I would blow that up and put it in my office. That's so cool to be on as part of NASA's box in there. Amazing. Yeah. So, Al, thank you so much for joining us. This has really been an intriguing experience just to understand. Look, we all come up with an idea at some point or another. Some people capture it and continue on their journey. Some people leave it for others. But look at something simple. Not necessarily so simple, but something simple like that, to be able to build it into this company, this empire. We appreciate the story that you provided for us, and we look forward to hearing more of the future of KATO coming up very soon. So thank you very much, Al.
Thank you, Brian. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, so that wraps up another edition of the Got Invention Show. My name is Brian Fried, and keep your innovations going and find things that are problem solution to keep you moving forward with your big ideas. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon.